Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Thursday night. I'm trying to get more dedicated to doing content. So I wanted to come to you guys with another video, and today we are going to talk about Tradwives. If you have been a fan of my channel, you know that I did a video a while back talking about how Tradwives trend compares to actually being a Tradwife. I've talked about my life many times and how, my world exists, that I am a traditional wife. I cook all the meals in my home. I do 90% of the cleaning. I do 90% of the child rearing. My husband is very, very active in everything. But when it comes to day to day, I'm the one doing the majority of everything because my husband is someone who leaves the home to work and works a lot. So I'm the one who kind of does the heavy lifting. I don't mind doing that. Is this how I saw my life going years ago? Not exactly, but am I extremely happy with it? Yes. But when you think about what I do as a traditional wife and you look at the trend of a trad wife, it is completely different. And there's a recent interview that came out with kind of the originators of trad wives, wives of Christian men, former Christian nationalists, and so on and so forth, the originators of trad wives. Their lives are not what you see on social media. And I want to talk about this because I feel like a lot of the girls who see the trad wife trend are getting caught up in it. And they think it's just like a trend online and something to be popular. And I'll have a good husband and all these cute kids. And I'll bake bread and make cookies and wear my 50s housewife dress and my bright red lipstick. I love a red lipstick. And everybody will love me and it'll just be perfect and nice and cute when it's not the reality. And seeing this interview of these women on CNN, seeing these trad wives, these actual wives who are part of the Quiverful movement. If you know what that means, it's women who are Christians who believe that having a house full of children is the way you show your faith to God and your family. Not working, having a lot of kids. Your husband is the head of the household, whether he deserves to be or not. We've seen this with the Duggar family. We all know how that ended up. That they now have two kids who have been arrested, one convicted and one, going through trial process for child, essay or whatever. I don't want to ruin any video or anything like that, but the movement has a lot of issues. There's even a girl who does Fundy Fridays that talks about the same organization that comes from the Tradwife movement, kind of where it started from, and talks about how damaging this is. So I'm just going to share my screen because I feel like we need to talk about what the aesthetic is and what the reality is so that people have a clear idea. So I'm just going to share. This is what the aesthetic is.
Have to be on the same page. You may not have started this way, but maybe you want to transition into a more traditional marriage. So you both have to be on the same page with that and want that. Number two, now you need to assess your lifestyle because you're gonna have to change it, especially if you are on two incomes. It's not gonna be easy.
So this is Esty Williams, and she became very, very popular during the pandemic. She is what you would call a trad wife. I haven't watched her, but she's big on I have the cute dresses and I wear makeup every day. My hair is all cute. I cook, I clean. I think she's on her second baby now, but this is how she is now pregnant. Oh, again, this the cute little 50s
What's
dresses.
wrong?
This
What
is
is
what
it?
she considers
How I
to be a
love
trad wife.
being a woman.
And it's cute. It's great for TikTok. Everybody loves it. She looks adorable. She looks like a 1950s pinup girl. She is ready to get scooped up by some hero in Casablanca. That's again, all of her aesthetic is the
Law
clean
school?
pattern.
That's right.
But that's a top 3 school.
Oh, I have a 4.0.
Yes. But your major is fashion.
It's very cute. The next example of what the trad wife looks like, and we all know who this is. This is Nara Smith, who gets extremely dressed up to make things from
Which
scratch.
is bread and pear jam. I combined all of my ingredients in my stand mixer and gave that a mix until it came together before gradually adding.
And this is her again, entire aesthetic is I make things from scratch while I wear $900,000 dresses and I woke up in the middle of the night feeling
All
like I
I've
needed
been
a cake.
craving all morning is mango pancakes, and knowing that these are so quick to make, I decided
So
to just
quick
get
to
in the
make.
kitchen
Again,
and do it.
it's an aesthetic. Here's what another one that I want to talk about real quick. This is a woman, who used to be, her name is Ekaterina Anderson, and she went from being a radical feminist to now she is she's a trad wife now. So let's just go through her story real quick so that again, this all to me is an aesthetic. It's not actually an action. Being a traditional wife, and we'll go into the CNN clip in a second, being a traditional wife is actual action. It is stressful. It is annoying. It is frustrating. It is hard, but you do it from a place of love and responsibility. I don't wake up in the morning and bake bread. I don't wake up in the morning thinking about cinnamon rolls, doing my hair and my makeup. I do my hair and makeup every day, but I don't think about it. I do it because it's become a weird habit. That's besides the point. I am not waking up baking rolls and figuring what outfit I'm gonna wear. I am putting on clean clothes. I am making myself presentable, and I'm going forward to take care of my family from 5:45 in the morning until the day is done at 8 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Like that, no, Monday through Sunday, because that's what it is. So let's look at her story real quick. So I think it's like a little real scroll through thing. Here we go. Wait, let's just go back real quick. I know everybody hates when I pause so much, but this is the funniest thing. Ekaterina Anderson, a mother of four, wears a 1950s style dress and apron, brewing coffee in a vintage cafeteria and breaking fresh cinnamon buns. That doesn't make you a trad wife because you're making coffee from some vintage garbage machine and making fresh cinnamon buns, and you're wearing a dress and an apron. My husband could care less if I'm wearing a dress and an apron. You know what he cares about is that the meal is good and that there's hot food on the table every single night. That is what he cares about, not this. But I'm gonna stop and just let it play through. Okay, wait. She wrote this book called The Horror Manifesto. I'm already just like, I kind of want to read it only because I want to know what in the world is in a horror manifesto. What made you guys write this book? The group regularly posted provocative images in underwear and t-shirts projecting the message, grab them by the patriarchy. Okay, fine. To each his own. Let's keep going. So basically, she went to therapy, and her therapist told her that she's always a victim and that she needed to get away from victimhood to be happy. So she thought getting away from victimhood was moving into the Tradwife movement. But again, that whole thing of making it social media trendy so that you can get a job doing it or make it your full-time career doesn't make you a Tradwife. I barely have time to do my YouTube channel. It is now 8:53 at night. I am exhausted. I am so tired. I have been up early in the morning. We did a school tour today. I worked. I cooked. I am tired. I am doing this during my free time at nighttime because I have the free time. I'm actually sacrificing face washing and sleeping because I wanted to record content. These girls who are running this whole trad wife aesthetic thing, this is their job, and they are making a lot of money doing it. I feel like it's the new grift. Like we see a lot of people who are in the political sphere right now on the far right wing movement, even the left wing movement, who look at politics like a way to get the money. They say the most outrageous things online. I mean, you got your Candace Owens, you got your Tim Pools, you got your Don Lemons now who are out here just saying anything that's on their side of the spectrum in the most outrageous way to get more clicks and views. And the trad wife movement is no different. People like seeing it because, again, it's visually pleasing. It looks cute and adorable. And a lot of younger girls are getting false ideas because they want to be that girl. They want to be the cute girl from the movie Mona Lisa Smiles with the cute outfit and the heels and the dresses and the husband who goes out and leaves for work every day, and you come home and everything's spotless and clean. But that's not the reality. So let's take a real look at the reality of being a trad wife, the part that no one wants to discuss.
You were the trad wife before Tradwives became a thing online.
So I was very much like isolated at home.
Really quick, just so you guys are confused. The magic of editing. So I rewatched the video last night and or this morning because I was so tired last night and realized that I was so tired that I really hadn't got the right clips that I wanted and I wasn't talking clearly because I was exhausted. End of day videos are always really crazy and I don't like doing them because, I don't get my point across as clearly as I want to. I actually prefer to record on Sunday. So I am in a different outfit. It is the next day. I am refreshed. I am ready to go. So let's go ahead and get into this clip.
Kept having babies. I was pregnant and or nursing for 13 years.
Wow.
And then when my oldest was around 4, we started like loosely homeschooling. That was one of the things that I argued with my husband a lot about. I'm a very I like very free, creative, that kind of educational model. And my husband is much more academically minded. I was expected to do it his way. And it was incredibly difficult and never went well. But I persisted because that's the Christian thing to do. I would also say that a lot of these things the system teaches you to moralize everything. Everything that you do is life or death, all the decisions that you make. So like healthcare are you going to vaccinate your kids, which we were anti-vax and we're not anymore. That's a life or death decision because your children could be permanently harmed from vaccines. So you better make the right decision. And so everything is high stakes in that way. And as someone who's like trying to be a good person, trying to follow God, trying to be a good Christian, that was one of the reasons that I was so bought in because I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good support person for my husband. I want to serve God well by being a good wife. And that is how I serve God. So that affects everything. You want to do these things. And when the system tells you this is how you can be a good person, this is how you can be a good wife, you're like, okay, I will do it. And it does, it simplifies it.
But it must be so stressful to every day think these decisions I'm making are life or death and such high stakes and God is judging me and am I being pure enough? And
You're literally so in your head the whole time, making sure that you're right. And there's so many rules to do. And the standard is so high, you're constantly working that you're literally too busy to have thoughts outside of just keeping up with your life, with your obedience. You're literally
So I'm going to pause it real quick. I just want to say something, and I'll make my comment about what the first woman said. Do these women on this screen look anything like the girls we see on TikTok who are promoting Tradwives? Are they wearing cute little 50s outfits? No, they're not. Are they fully plastered with makeup? Is their hair dressed like a pinup girl? I mean, the aesthetic, and I keep using the word aesthetic because that's what I feel like it is. I'll give you a better word. The costume on TikTok versus the reality of it are two different things. And we see that from all of them, including the girl from Ballerina Farms, wearing her aprons and her dresses like she's living, Little House on the Prairie. When in reality, that girl wears, high designer things. That's the problem that I have with this. The first girl's talking about being pregnant or breastfeeding for 13 years. That is exhausting on the body. It is. It's very hard on the body to do this back to back to back to back to back. Michelle Duggar, who had, I think she had 19 kids, and unfortunately she had one miscarriage, but that's hard on the body. And they're the point of and it's weird because, and then I'll talk about this later on, is that you have all these kids, you can't manage all of these children. You cannot manage 19 kids. And what happens is that your daughters and your children become parentified to help you with the younger kids. So that child is now losing their childhood because they have to take care of, their younger brothers and sisters. They call it getting a buddy, when a new baby comes. And that's just crazy to me. And let me just talk about the homeschooling situation because I have several moms in my community, because I'm a hybrid stay-at-home mom and I have friends, one of them a former friend, who was like, oh, no, I'm going to homeschool. I'm going to homeschool. Homeschool is so much better than public school. I get it. Public school has its issues. In my area, we actually have a lot of good charter schools. My children just got into a charter school, but we also had a really good public school that's just open, and me and my husband were fine with that. But it's all about the public schools being so bad and we have to keep our kids home to be safe and we don't want them exposed to stuff. This is that moral thing they're always talking about, of keeping your kids safe from other influences from other kids and all that whole thing sometimes it's just a lot of propaganda, especially if you live in a safe area. It's just ridiculous. Like you live in Utah. I live in Claremont, Florida. There's no indoctrination of like liberal ideas here in Florida. I'm open to all ideas, but I know that's one of the things that some of the women that I know use. So I got on that little tangent to say that they are talking about homeschooling. And I don't think they understand how hard homeschooling is. Homeschooling isn't, again, what you see on social media where you work for an hour and then, maybe do a couple of fun games and your kids get to go explore outside and explore nature and science hands-on. That's not real homeschooling. It takes a really strong person to homeschool. You have to, one, keep those kids on a schedule. You have to be willing to test. And if you're in a real homeschooling program, which I realize a lot of these women in my neighborhood and a lot of the women who are Tradwives are not on the real homeschooling program, there's a testing schedule that you have to follow and an education schedule that you have to follow to be considered an actual homeschool program. And a lot of kids some of them who didn't have like the traditional program, they're ending up just taking the GED, the equivalent of the GED. They're not getting like a whole high school diploma or anything like that. They're just going to go take the GED and then moving on with their life and trying to go, on like that. There's a lot of younger girls who are homeschooled who in the Tradwife, in the Quiverful movement, who end up not being able to do anything but be a wife because they weren't given proper education. So it just seems so hard to do this. And to the girls who are watching the Tradwives on TikTok, this is the reality. Unless you marry someone like, like what Nara Smith married Lucky Smith, or the ballerina girls who married a multi-million, I think his family is multimillionaires, you could end up like this, where you're just having a lot of kids, you're overwhelmed, you're doing a lot, and you're trying to maybe have some fun time on TikTok and post videos. And if that doesn't work out, now you have all these kids and now you're having to go through it day to day. There's another girl who, I don't know what happened to her, white female TikToker, Christian. I think she has 6 kids and she does the whole I record content as a stay-at-home mom. And that brings them a lot of money and a lot of freedom to do the stay-at-home mom thing. I think her husband makes a good amount of money too. That opens you up to do more. These women are not coming from that experience. So let me go ahead and click over to the next video. I'm going to rewind it a little bit. See if this is the right part. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to. Here we go. Oh, I'm still sharing. Perfect.
What you were told to do.
What made you finally leave?
I had a daughter. I found out I was pregnant with a daughter, and I immediately knew that what hadn't been safe for me for 30 years, but I had ignored, it hadn't been important enough, I suddenly realized how important it was for her. And I didn't want her to grow up in that environment and in that church, because it's not safe. They have a really good way of making it sound like really nice. Like the owner of the home, she has these children.
I hate that.
What a privilege, because it is a privilege to be a mother. Right? We all agree with that.
It's a privilege to stay at home. Yeah.
And it's a privilege to get to stay at home, and it's a privilege to homeschool if that's
It's a privilege to bake sourdough.
But it's not a privilege if you're forced to do it, and it's not a privilege if you don't get to make decisions about your children without your husband vetoing it. It's not a privilege if you don't have a choice. It's a privilege if you have a choice and you've chosen to do that.
I mean, you have a very strong presence and a strong voice.
And that is the problem. They don't talk about this in these cute little videos you see on TikTok, trying to get more and more women to, become these Christian religious Tradwives. They always talk about, I love staying home with my kids and I love being a stay-at-home mom. And being a stay-at-home mom is such a wonderful privilege and honor. And, I have a husband who makes enough money, who I can stay home. Your husband's a loser for not letting you. It's that whole thing. And I think that's lame and it's stupid, because These women weren't given a choice. They were just told, you're just going to stay at home and you're going to bake and cook and homeschool, and that's just the end of it. That like she said, it's not a privilege, it's not a choice. Your favorite TikTokers who were doing it, they made a choice. Esty made a choice. Nara is making a choice. They're making a choice to honestly have their cake and eat it all. I can be a businesswoman running a TikTok and Nara running a homeschool empire, excuse me, a cooking empire, basically. Ballerina Farms running whatever that farm is where they make what did she make? She did raw milk, which was a horrible thing, but she's got expensive cutting boards and a bunch of stuff that she sells. They've got the honor of making that choice. That is a privilege for them. It's not a privilege for these women, that the real Tradwives who are waking up and really having to grind it out during the day. And don't get me wrong, I think all these women were happy to, not happy to, excuse me. They love their husbands and love their kids. Just like I love my husband and love my kids, but it's hard. And I just want as many young girls as possible to have the reality of going in it and being married and having a lot of kids, that it's not something fun that you saw online. This is real life. And it's not all, the best things posted and the most curated Instagram. And, it always blows me away because, again, this is never talked about, that all these women with all these kids who are on social media talking about that they're traditional wives and clean and cook and take care of their kids, and there's like 7 or 8 kids or 5 kids or whatever, and they still have the time to create content and edit content. There's only 24 hours in the day, and 5 or 6 of those days, at least 5 or 6 of those hours, you're sleeping. So when are you getting the time to raise all of your kids, run your business, record content, clean your house, be there for your husband and all that, in all the ways you should be there for your husband? When are you getting the time to do all of this? They have help, but they don't talk about the help. They don't say that, oh, by the way, my mother-in-law also lives here, or my father-in-law lives here, or we have 2 or 3 nannies. They're not talking about that. They're just talking about the joy of being a traditional, beautiful wife. They're full of shit. So the other thing that's always annoying about the trad wives is the way they talk. So this next clip, they're going to talk about the way they speak. I'm gonna finally blow up this video too. Here we go.
You have today, are these your normal voices, or is this from what you've just been conditioned to have?
I get DMs every time I go back and forth between the voices, because sometimes if I'm thinking of trying to appeal to people who are still in the cult, the voice comes right back.
And what's the voice?
Don't make me do it, Pamela. I can't on cue.
Well,
Are you kidding me?
it's like, oh, I am so praying for you. Like, oh my gosh. And I know the Lord is gonna lead your husband in the correct way. Like, and I didn't even ever get the high voice, but it's you soften it, and you are not.
You're not a threat.
You're not a threat.
You're not too powerful. You're not too loud. You're not going to overstep the bounds. You're being so reasonable and so.
I have to pause it here because this is the voice that Nara Smith uses. And I've seen a video of her previously, how she talked and how she dressed and how she does it now. She is doing something, basically being a chef in her videos, which if you ever been around an actual chef or seen female chefs or females cooks, it's something where you have to kind of command presence and be confident in. And the way she comes off in her cute, pretty dresses that are couture sometimes and designer dresses, and that she's soft and feminine, and she's talking like this. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a crazy craving for kimchi. So I got out my cutting board. It's that whole thing. These women are talking about that. That's the voice to make sure everybody knows that you are this, small, cute creature, that you're not an actual grown adult woman. You're basically a child. You're infantilizing yourself because to them, it's more welcoming. And it's just interesting. Michelle Duggar also, I bring her up again. She does it. She talks like that. And I saw a recent video of her yelling at paparazzi outside of her house because another one of her sons got arrested for essay of one of his siblings, or not siblings, another child. And she is screaming guttural screams at this paparazzi to get off her property. But when you see her in videos, we just want the Lord to bless you and to be kind, and we just want to learn. That's how she's talking in the video. So I think it's just odd that, that it's like that. But let's keep going a little bit more.
Submissive and so willing to comply.
So kind.
So willing to comply.
Oh my gosh, no, do not go against your husband.
But it's more than just the voice. I still find myself seeing a man do the bare minimum and just immediately going into like complimenting him and praising him and fawning at him, and it's like, it's still, I mean, I'm constantly working on the deprogramming from all of that, because it just makes me feel safer when I put the man in front of me who's big and scary at ease and make sure he knows I'm not a threat.
Have you ever spoken out about your experiences before in this capacity?
Not like this.
Not on this level.
There aren't a lot of opportunities to speak out, especially on this level. So
Really?
yeah.
Wow. Have you been wanting to speak out for a while?
I mean, yes, but also there's a lot that goes into speaking out. So yeah, it's like the desire's there, but it costs a lot.
What?
So I'm just gonna stop it right there. Again, and the reason why I'm doing this content, it's not even so much for the views and the clicks of it. It is, I just want more and more young girls to stop looking online for what looks good and desiring after what these couples have. We see so many TikTok couples get divorced. We see so many famous couples get divorced and break up because you only see the fun and good stuff. The Tradwife movement is no different. You're only seeing the good stuff. You're seeing the fun stuff, the cute stuff. You're seeing things that anybody would want. Anybody would want to live on a beautiful farm with a perfect garden with a cute husband and the cute kids, and you open up all your windows in the morning and you're making fresh food and you're making your own pasta and you're making your own milk and all that. Well, cows make milk, but you know what I'm saying. Everybody would love that, but it's not real. It's just not. And you know, I bring back to the ballerina farm situation because she's so out of touch with reality. The girl who runs that, I keep forgetting her name. I think her name is Hannah or something, but she's so out of touch with reality. She's selling her fans $200 cutting boards. Do you think the women we're looking at on this screen can afford $200 cutting boards? If that is the goal, if that's the person who, not the person, if me or somebody younger than me, a little bit younger, if I am your audience, do you think I have that kind of money for a $200 cutting board? If I am following your kind of idea of having a bunch of kids, but I don't have the extremely wealthy husband, my husband just has a regular good blue collar job. Raw milk, selling raw milk because your kids drink raw milk and they're fine, which I highly doubt her children are drinking large consumptions of raw milk. I really don't. And clearly, from how that whole situation goes, they didn't really even, they saying they had clean cows and they show where the cows are, and it was disgusting, like from top to finish. It was just really, really nasty. And then people got sick and they stopped doing that. It's just, again, it's to sell their products, to hawk their products, to get views on their profiles, to get views on their TikToks and Instagram so that more people want to partner with them and do more things with them and they can put more money in their pockets. They are not real. They don't get the day to day and they will never understand the day to day. And they have that privilege. So listen, drop them in my comments. Let me know your thoughts about Tradwives. And I will post my original video from a couple of years ago. I'll post in the description so you can see my thoughts on it back when it was starting to get really popular about, right before COVID or right after COVID when it started to get really, really popular. But yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later. See you in the next video. Bye.